Our final CFA Lifetime Achievement Award goes to the undisputed champion of the American consumer, Ralph Nader.
It is hard to imagine the rise of the modern consumer movement without the leadership, resourcefulness, and sheer persistence of Ralph Nader, a self-described public citizen who has been at the forefront of scores of progressive campaigns over the past 50 years. Not only has he challenged corporate and regulatory malfeasance, often single-handedly, but he has inspired 2 generations of consumer advocates, citizen activists, and public interest lawyers. He founded and inspired an extraordinary number of consumer organizations, including the Center for Study of Responsive Law, Public Citizen, the Center for Auto Safety, the Center for Science in the Public Interest, the Clean Water Action Project, the Pension Rights Center, and the Appleseed Foundation. Nader helped establish the state-based public interest research groups and played a pivotal role in the passage of consumer protection laws such as the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Pure Food and Drug Act, the Clean Air Act, and the landmark Freedom of Information Act. His efforts led to the creation of several important federal regulatory agencies, including the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. His lifelong work into advocacy, which continues today as he investigates the Boeing crashes, has led to safer cars, healthier food, better drugs, cleaner air, purer drinking water, and safer work environments. Ralph Nader truly embodies the spirit of our CFA's Lifetime Achievement Award.
Finally, I'd like to introduce the chair of CFA's Lifetime Achievement Awards Committee and Executive Director of MassPIRG, Janet Dominitz, to present our Lifetime Achievement Award to Ralph Nader.
I feel like we need a new word for honor, because to say it is an honor for me to introduce you to Ralph Nader on this occasion feels like the understatement of the century. While we are here to celebrate Ralph's lifetime of achievements, which have done no less than change the world, I'm not going to use this moment to list them all out. I am going to make this privilege personal by sharing an anecdote that has stayed with me for all 39 years of my public interest career. In the summer of 1981, Ralph came to our Boston office as we were launching our very first statewide door-to-door canvass. Our goal, based in part on Ralph's blueprint, was to deploy a grassroots team to build the citizen movement. We set out by going to people's doors, asking them to join with a contribution to give us their name and telephone number so we could contact them and hopefully involve them in our campaigns. It was hard. People said no, slammed their doors. Menacing dogs lurked. The weather could be awful. Sometimes you'd get lost. And remember, this was way before cell phones, Google Maps, or anything fancier than flashlights. Many of us felt like complaining. In walks Ralph. Maybe a few of us did raise our hands to whine or ask if there was a faster, easier way to do this work. Ralph said in so many words this: buck up. He described how over the course of the previous 10 years, as he started the Center and Public Citizen and myriad other organizations, that young idealistic people would flock to DC, passionate about changing the world. And in short order, whether they were trying to lobby a congressperson or get a newspaper to print their release or get a coalition partner to do something, or whatever the ask was, they would get told no, for maybe the first time in their lives. Ralph said it's easy to be idealistic when things have gone your way. You've gone to a good college, you've had your family's support, excelled at academics and other pursuits. You're used to doors opening, heads nodding, and affirmation of what you want to achieve. And then you take on the work of the citizen movement. Obstacles stack up. The odds, with big special interests always having more resources, are against you. Battles are lost. So what do? Quit? Give up? Some do. This is where the wheat is separated from the chaff. I remember those words. So make your choice. There have been hundreds of times over the years that I, and I'm certain zillions of others who have been inspired by Ralph, played that message in our heads as quests to pass a bill, win a ballot question, receive a foundation grant, get our calls returned, get our message out, have been stopped squashed, and flattened. Each time we have a choice as to how to react, and I'm here to say that for my lifetime, and I know so many others, Ralph's message of persistence, resilience, and strength in the service of the public interest turned us into the warriors that we are. So really, Ralph's lifetimes of achievements are too numerous to count, and on behalf of all of us, I will take this opportunity to say thank you, congratulations, and here's to many more lifetimes of public interest achievements you will inspire.
Yeah, I want to thank Janet Dominitz, who has held the helm of Massachusetts Student Public Interest Research Group for all these years, making MassPIRG one of the leading civic groups easily in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Well, I started out with consumer advocacy by hitchhiking, and the truck drivers and others would pick me up. Once in a while, I would come at the scene of a horrible crash before the EMT or police arrived, and I was on my way to law school at Harvard, and I began studying how people are killed in car crashes, the two collisions, the vehicle colliding against an abutment or another vehicle or a tree, and then instantly later, the unrestrained passenger and driver being hurled into metal, glass, steel, with horrendous consequences. And that intrigued me because the traffic safety ideology of those days was just to blame the driver entirely. Forget about the role of the vehicle, manufacturers, and the design of the highway. And so that taught me a very important lesson after I did my third-year paper at Harvard on unsafe automobile design and legal liability. The lesson was consumer protection gets to people where they live, work, and raise their families. There's nothing abstract about it. There's nothing ideological about it. I like the idea of combating indiscriminate injustice, not discriminatory injustice, which is bad enough, but the injustice that corporations heap upon all the people. So I then went on to gas pipeline safety and broadened out in the late 1960s in Congress, all kinds of congressional hearings, all kinds of mass media coverage, all kinds of allies in Congress and the House and Senate, and we got through the auto safety bill, of course. We got through the Consumer Product Safety Bill, the Flammable Fabrics Act, the natural gas pipeline laws. We got through the Environmental Protection Agency law that created EPA, that created OSHA. We got through the fundamental air and water pollution laws, which is a form of preventing compulsory consumption of toxics into your lungs and bodies. And we got through the Great Freedom of Information Act of 1974, the drinking water safety laws, and many others. So we started a lot of groups, Center for Auto Safety, the various student public interest research groups, Public Citizen, Pension Rights Center, helped launch indirectly the Center for Science to Public Interest that revolutionized the utilization of nutrition, food, in our country, and many other groups around the country. Nowhere near what we need, not 1%. The forest of democracy has very few trees, and some of them are dwindling now. So we have to revise our efforts, renew our efforts, start a whole new generation of young people, and begin dealing with facilities that make it easy for insurance policyholders, bank depositors, utility consumers, and others to band together into nonprofit consumer advocacy groups. We have to expand the access to the courts, upgrade our class action rights, expand the right of a trial by jury, reduce the various barriers that the tort deformers have imposed. And of course, year after year, the poor pay more, they get injured more, they get sidelined from having a voice more. The situation with the pay-to-loan rackets, the rent-to-own rackets are still flourishing. And in a COVID-19 pandemic with greater poverty coming on board. We're going to see more consumer abuses in the inner city and in areas where poor people live without any defense by the law and order crowd or by the legal institutions in the states that should be on the ramparts on their behalf. We have to think very big, stop bragging about our small victories other than footnotes, and everybody looks for meaning in life and justice. The pursuit of justice, to me, is the great meaning in life. I want to thank everybody at CFA, which I hope becomes much larger in the future. Jack Gillis is the executive director, and Rachel Weintraub is the legislative director and general counsel, and all the people in the past who kept this organization going since 1968.
Thanks to our award chair and leader of MassPIRG, Janet Dominitz, and America's consumer champion, Ralph Nader, who has likely done more than any other individual to protect the health, safety, and pocketbooks of the American consumer.